Recording in progress.
Good evening and welcome to the launch of our project, The Hidden Jewels in Yorkshire's Grasslands. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Our project team consists of Claire Langrick, who is the Senior Ecological Information Officer for NEYEDC, Lucy Baldwin, who is NEYEDC's Ecological Data Officer, and myself, Claire Bending, and I'm a freelance land management advisor and project officer for the Hidden Jewels project. The project began as a meeting of minds between myself and Claire Langrick. We were both becoming increasingly aware that fungi-rich grasslands were not being given the same recognition as other important habitats, and were becoming more vulnerable to damage as tree planting increased in popularity and agri-environment scheme objective changed. And then, it doesn't happen very often in life, but the timing has been perfect. We've been successful in a funding bid to Yorkshire Water's Biodiversity Enhancement Programme, which will be funding the project for 3 years. We also found out that Natural England was working on developing a fungi-rich grassland layer for the mapping system, MAGIC. And that's been built using existing database records. This layer will enable ecologists, land managers and local authorities to find out the location of fungi-rich grassland sites before commencing work such as tree planting, and hopefully also in future it will be used to access funding to protect fungi-rich sites. I've just put it, if I can make the PowerPoint work. There. So I just thought I'd pull this up. Although the fungi-rich layer isn't live yet, and so isn't on MAGIC, just in case any of you haven't come across MAGIC, I just thought I'd bring it up. So it's magic.gov.uk, and it's basically an online GIS system. You have all these different layers you can select. I've just selected a few sort of grassland layers, which you can see, but hopefully by the end of this year there'll also be a fungi-rich grassland layer that you'll be able to have a look at. The issue though is that although this is fantastic that Natural England are going to have this new layer, and so fungi-rich grasslands will be available to view, they're massively under-recorded. And so that's where we're stepping in to actually help provide a lot more data, which will then feed this layer, enable more sites to be identified. But firstly, what are fungi-rich grasslands? They're also known as waxcap grasslands, and these are nutrient-poor grasslands that have not been ploughed, fertilised or damaged by livestock management. In the lowlands, these areas are often ancient meadows, banksides inaccessible to machinery, churchyards and unfertilised gardens, and in the uplands they often occur in what's known as intakes or allotments, which are the steep and remote upper fields. Just got a picture here of some of the potential habitats. They're not always everywhere you expect them, but here's just some examples. So sort of the limestone pasture in the Yorkshire Dales, some of the intake land in the North York Moors on the Dale sides, some species-rich hay meadows, and then there's different lowland pastures here as well. These undisturbed grasslands can be host to an incredible range of fungi that form associations with the roots of grassland plants and from decaying plant matter and animal dung. The part that you see above ground is actually just the fruiting body of the fungus, the tip of the iceberg, so to speak. As with woodland fungi, grassland fungi come in all shapes and sizes, including the brilliantly coloured waxcap family, which are the first ones to catch people's eyes. This assemblage of grassland fungi is sometimes called the CHEG group, which is a bit of a mouthful. So the C stands for the cloveroid fungi, which is the clubs, the corals and the spindles. Here's a picture here of some of the spindles. And then there's the hygrocybe, which is the H, and the chegged, which is the waxcaps. So these are the ones that are really eye-catching ones in all the stunning colours. There's also the E in the chegged is the entoloma, which is also known as the pink gills. And then we've got the G, which is the geoglossid, which is the earth tongues, which if I can go back, no, I haven't gone back there. You can see on the left-hand side, these are some of the earth tongues here poking up. And then lastly, the D is for the dermaloma. But this has also been added to, and it now includes the dermaloma. The English name is the craze caps, and this also now includes the fan vaults and the meadow caps. The challenge with recording grass and fungi sites is the fleeting nature of the fruiting bodies. Unlike botanically diverse grasslands, which tend to have a range of flowering plants all year, and usually in winter, there's also still a really good indication you've got still the sort of perennial broadleaves showing. Waxcap grasslands sometimes only have these fruiting bodies visible for a few weeks in the year. And then to top it off, with the weather conditions varying in the autumn, some years hardly anything comes up, and other years, a huge range of species can come up. So they're incredibly variable. And they're very easily missed, especially since most ecological surveys are done in the spring and summer, and the majority of grassland fungi fruit in the autumn. Another issue is that although the grasslands need to be undisturbed for the fungi to be present, they aren't necessarily botanically rich, and so a site can be assessed as low diversity and therefore suitable for tree planting, agricultural improvement or development. So we need people out on the ground in the autumn, keeping their eyes peeled for these fungi. Thanks to Plant Life, we have a fantastic app that can be used to record any grass and fungi sightings, with no prior experience needed, and Lucy will give you a run through of this app a bit later on. If you haven't already, hopefully using this app will give you the fungi bug and you'll want to learn more. This month we're holding 2 in-person training days for those that have some fungi recording experience. As once sites are identified on the app, we need verifiers to check the sites and record the names of the fungi. If you enjoy using the app and want to learn more, we'll be holding more in-person training days next autumn to help you learn the ID features and start to name the fungi. Steve Hindle, the Grassland Fungi Project Officer for the National Trust, is going to be running our in-person training days, and he's also kindly agreed to speak tonight to tell us more about his project and the amazing fungi he finds. We're also very lucky to have Claire Blancow here tonight, who is the manager at Sussex Biodiversity Record Centre, and she's designed an online key to help identify waxcaps. Firstly, though, I'll hand you over to Steve.